Hello everyone, my name is Pete and welcome to UK Survival. Today what I'm going to be showing you is how to build and also some basic information about a nice simple water filter. Okay, so we know today we'll be building a water filter, but there's a few things before I start teaching the kids how to build water filters. The rule of three in survival. So there's a few things which us as human beings can't physically live without of, and they work in threes. So the first three, so we'll die if we do not get it within 3 minutes. Yeah, so that's a question I say. There's stuff in the world which everyone needs more than 3 minutes. Is that right? Yeah, we need 3 minutes of it. We'll basically die and we'll start the body shutting down. What's all around us? Air. Yeah, so as a human being, we need to make sure we can breathe within 3 minutes. If we don't get air within 3 minutes, some people can hold their breath a lot longer and we're going to suffocate and die. So that's the first rule of three. So the next one I give them is 3 days. So something we as a human being need to sustain ourselves to keep us alive. If we don't have it for more than 3 days, our body starts shutting down. And what's all around me right now? Water. So the first one is 3 minutes with no air, 3 days with no water. Next one is 3 weeks. So the human body, we can sustain ourselves. If we got a good healthy body, we've got good fat reserves, we can sustain ourselves for 3 weeks with not eating. We're not going to be very healthy, we're not going to be very good at what we are. We've not been in some cohesion, but the body can sustain up to 3 weeks without actually eating any decent amount of food. We're going to need something to keep us going, like a few grubs, a few sort of snails, a few little greedies here and there. But the body can sustain itself around about 3 weeks using its fat reserves, depending on how well maintained the body is. Some people who are really skinny aren't going to go for 3 weeks, are they? Some people a bit bigger might go a little bit longer, but the rule of thumb is average of 3 weeks we can go without food. The new one, which has just come in, the fourth one, is 3 months. So the human body, we need to make sure that we've got some sort of human interaction, yeah, talking sort of thing, within 3 months before our brain starts shutting down. We start going a bit crazy sort of thing over there. There's a few people who've gone up far longer than 3 months, sort of on there. Some people have just gone nearly close. There's quite a famous YouTuber at the moment called Zachary Fowler, who won Alone Season 3, and he got 87 days, yeah, which is coming on to that nearly 3 month barrier of 90 days. So you can see there that if you watch those Alone series, people drop out because they need companionship. So 3 months is on there. So now I go through those things first, the rule of three. So you got 3 minutes with no air, 3 days with no water, 3 weeks with no food, 3 months with no companionship. So they're the sort of things I look at. Then we move on to, right, we're going to look at the water source sort of thing down there. But where can we get our water? I've got a river, fast flowing river right behind me. People say take water from fast flowing sources. But you can see it's all murky and dirty. There's a field on the other side of the river from here. There's cows, all sorts of stuff. There's a road just a little bit further up. So there could be all sorts of bacteria and foreign bodies, oils and sort of things inside this water source. So if this is the only water source available to you, then you're going to have to collect your water from this source. But generally, the rule of thumb is you always try to get the water source from upriver. Yeah, so if you're on a main river, you try to get it from a stream. If you're on a stream, you try to get it from a tributary. If you're on a tributary, you try to get it from a source. So you're always trying to go one step further. The further to the source of the water you can go, generally the cleaner the water source is actually going to get. Don't take things change, sort of thing. There might be different things along the way which could affect your water. But if you can try to get it from different sources, further up river, moving water over there, that's the sort of place you need to try and get your water. You also going to try and make sure the water preferably is moving. Still, stagnant water can harbour a whole load of different bacteria and foreign bodies. Also other things being inside it. Animals can use it for drinking sources, they can defecate and urinate inside it, and they can all prastinate and all sorts of a whole load of other things inside there. So they're the sort of things, but moving water, generally it keeps going through and moving up and up and up. But when we are collecting water from a moving water source, we try to get the water downstream of the moving water. So what I mean with that is, I'll show you. Okay, so we've got a water source which is just here. We can see the water is moving that direction. If I've got my container, if I've got here now, it's a bit muddy. Let's just get a bit of clean out. There we go. Yeah, so if I was going to get my container and I put it in this way, what's going to happen is all these foreign bodies, I missed that, yeah, I was going to try to, all these foreign bodies which can come down the river. I've got a hole in the bottom of my river, can actually go inside there. I was trying to catch them, you can see some debris and that sort of thing around there. But if I put it in, so the river's going that way, if I put my container in this way, what's going to happen, I'm going to get the backwash of the water coming in. So all the foreign, so you can see there already, it's a lot cleaner. So all the water going that way, now so here we go, so all the water going that way is getting sucked into my container this way, so I'm not going to be getting all the debris from flowing down the river that direction. That's the reasons why we pick the water up from that way. Try not to get so many foreign bodies in the way of debris coming down the river. Once we've actually got all those sort of things as well, we need to do two things with the water. First, we need to filter the water from all the debris coming down. Then we need to purify the water. That's removing any harmful bacteria or microorganisms inside there. There's a few things, you hear about diseases that all over the world where people getting sick for drinking untreated water sources. In the UK as well, we've also got quite harmful and even some fatal bacteria inside our actual water sources, inland water sources, the rivers, the streams, the ponds, all that sort of stuff. Even reservoirs and dikes can also get these sort of things. So the first ones that spring to mind, there's about 5 that spring to mind. I usually sort of give a couple to the kids because it gives us some idea. Everyone's always heard Wells disease. Is one of the first ones I always talk about. Wells disease is generally commonly known, it's from urinating rats near a water source, which can go inside and can cause stomach aches, diarrhea, vomiting, but also now known of other mammals as well. You've got the deers, you've got rabbits and all sorts of other animals which can urinate in the water source to contaminate actually what we're drinking. And it's a bit like food poisoning. You get vomiting, you get headaches, you get nausea, you can cause diarrhea. There's also another name for this, excuse the pronunciation, I'll also put it up on the board, leptospidius. Is also another name can be used for Wells disease at the same time. So the next one we can look at is, people refer to this as food poison, E. coli. You can also get E. coli from contaminated water sources as well. Again, it upsets stomachs, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, all those sort of things you can get from the water. Another 2 ones we get inoculated against mostly is Hep C and Hep A. So you can get those from the water sources as well. It doesn't say they're inside every single water source we get, but there is a potential chance if you don't purify your water properly, you can attract hepatitis A and hepatitis B. So they're the 3 sort of ones what people always know about. There's also a couple of other ones which we're going to talk about now. Okay, so this one is usually commonly for animals, can get it from drinking the water, sort of on there. I always say these things wrong, I'll put the name up on there, botulism. I think I've said it right. If I haven't, I do apologise. The word will be up there, so Google it, research yourself. This is from polluted water sources. Generally, if you've continuously got diarrhea, or your dog or cat or anyone completely got diarrhea all the time, that it could be a reason. This could be one of the reasons why I'm actually going to get it. But it's from usually polluted water sources, from sewage, other type of car oils, farm. The last one I want to talk about is, I'm going to say this wrong again, Cryptosporidius. Yeah, is the main thing you can get. You get it from Cryptosporidium, but for the purpose of this I'm going to call it crypto, to make it nice and easy. And what that is there, it's a disease what causes problems inside the lower intestines, and It happens around about 5,500 people, adults or children in the UK each year. Most people don't even know they got it, but it is there. So all of these are treatable with a good course of medicines or antibiotics, but some of them, like the Wells disease and that, if left untreated, can actually cause respiratory problems and can be fatal. So it's very, very important to purify the water you're going to be drinking, or know where the water source is coming from. Generally, if you can get away of not drinking any water and sources we've got around us, and you bring in bottled water in, use that. When I do this for the kids, I use tap water to make the dirty water, but when I actually go to drinking the water sort of thing over there, I switch out the filtered water and just put generally tap water into the pan, and I make nettle tea or pine needle tea out of normal tap water, but I go for the full process so they get some idea, lessen the chance of actually giving any illnesses to the people drinking the water if they don't boil it properly or filter it properly sort of on there. So the last thing I want to do is give them any illnesses. I teach them how to do the process, but then I just use normal tap water and boil that just to give them the idea of what you would do. Right, we're now going to go over now and start having a look at building the water filter. Okay, so we're just learning a little bit about why we need to build the water filters. So let's look at some of the components which I use when I'm teaching primary school kids or scouts or high school kids. Some basic components which you can either buy from the shops, or you can rummage around in the woods, actually go to find it yourself. Generally when I'm teaching, I try to buy in the equipment I need to teach the lesson, because then I know, for one, I'm going to have enough. Two, I'm going to be able to locate it quickly without having to. Now, the first time I did it, I went around to the sea, I went to the bushes, the woods, trying to find this stuff. I spent hours trying to source this stuff. I thought, I want to make it proper. And I realised very quickly that the cost efficiency of me going out and sourcing this equipment and finding this stuff actually a lot quicker and cheaper, actually just going to the local shops and buying equipment. So let's have a look at the stuff I need to build my simple little water filter. So the first thing is you need some sort of muddy water. Yeah, so this water was just normal water I've got from the river behind this, and I just put some molehill dirt actually inside it itself. So that's the first thing we need. The second thing we need is some sort of container to hold it in. When I'm teaching this, the most simplest way around it is just water bottles. They're fairly cheap. I can drink the water sort of all day long at home, and then I've just got my water bottle. What I do for safety purposes, I tend to cut them myself. If I'm doing older kids, I'll get them to cut the tops off. If I'm doing primary kids, I get them to actually cut it off on there itself. Right, the next thing we need to look at is some sort of device, stick or anything to prod the stuff down to the bottom to lay it all out. I generally just have, I can either pick up sticks, or on this today I've got a, what do you call it, 10 peg sort of laying around. I've also got a little beating stick, which I'll show you another use for this fairly shortly as well. So they're the two things I've got on there. The next thing I need is some sort of wadding at the bottom of the container to stop everything falling out, and it also acts as a little filter at the last thing, but really the only real use for it is some sort of wadding. You could use old bits of t-shirts, you can use socks. I've got some old medical swabs which are out of date. These went out of date in September 2012. Yeah, so all this is basically some sort of wadding. Right, the next substance we need inside our filter is the main, most important ingredient in any type of filtering system is charcoal. So you can get this from various different sources. If you had a fire a previous day, you could get the charcoal out of the fire and then get the charcoal wood and sit there and crush it up. Like I've got my little beating stick, which is just there, and then you turn it into a fine powder. Or the simple way around it, if you just want to know some quickly, is you can go out and just buy yourself a bag of charcoal. Nice and simple, it's already burnt for you. You just get it out and just give it a bit of a crush sort of over there. So there's some basic sort of ways with the charcoal. But the charcoal is a very, very important ingredient, because this is the thing which is going to take out all the bacteria. So along as you're doing all of these sort of systems, each part of things you need inside your filter is a different degree of filtering system. So we already looked at the very bottom one, which is the swab. All it mainly is to keep everything inside it. The next layer, so if you look at my filter, which is just here, you can see is a big layer of charcoal. Like what this does is each layer of the filter is to take out certain organisms or debris out of the filter. And once you've got the charcoal, is the next layer. We're going to talk about these properties in more detail as we go through and actually build the filter itself. The next layer we've got is some sand. Some people use fine sand and then coarse sand. You can use different sort of things, but it just depends how efficient you want to be. The best sort of sand is playground sand. I just went to Tesco's today and saw it on sale for £2.50 a bag for 2 kilos. So this is fine builder sand. Again, I paid £2.50 for 15 kilos of the sand itself. And it lives outside in the house. Doesn't matter if it gets wet, because when it is wet, it makes the filter far more efficient and quicker to use anyway, because the filter doesn't work properly until it's fully soaked and saturated as it goes through. So we've got some sand there. And then the next layer I use is fine stones. So as I say, the next layer I use is fine stones, and I buy these from fish shops. I go to Pets at Home, and I find it far more efficient to buy the size of stones I need, and they come in the deal. You can get 2 bags for £3 or something like that. I can't remember the exact prices on top of my head. I'll put a little note up there so you can see how much I paid for them. So you've got the sand there, and what I also use as well to make it easier for the kids, the top of the bottles I use as a little scoop. So I'm also recycling as well. What I say to the kids, you just need 1 level scoop or 2, depends how big the bottles are, to actually go through it. So you've got the stones, and then I have the next level of stones, which is a bit bigger. So they're slightly bigger, so just go round, and they take out more of the bigger properties. You can likewise, this is what I used to do, salvage some stones. This is stones, even bigger stones, which you can pick up from driveways and gravel sort of thing. I've also picked up stones from riverbeds and washed them up as we go through at the same time as well. Just depends on what you want to go. And the very last thing in which we use on my filter is grass. It could be anything, sort of reeds or any sort of substance you want to use at the very, very top of your filter. So that's it. So that's all the things I use. It generally doesn't cost any more than, what's it, I think a grand total of under a tenner possibly for this, and I've used this for numerous types of projects for school kids. I must have gone through, must have built so far out of all this stuff about 30 filters sort of going through. If you can always recycle some of your stones as well to get them out and separate them, if it depends how cost efficiency you want to be with your equipment. This water filter was the first one I built, and I've done all my demonstrations with this one. I've changed nothing, I've emptied nothing out. The only thing I do change is the grass on the top. The sand, the stones, the filter, the charcoal has all stayed exactly the same, and it still works as well or even better than the day I built it. And that was nearly a year ago. So they do work quite well when actually using the filtering system. So the next thing we're going to do now is actually going to build the system itself. And as we're building it, we can talk about the properties and how well they actually use. So first thing is you need a container. Well, we've already got. So I'm going to get my container. I'm also now going to get my little filtering system, and say all this really does is just to stop any of the charcoal falling out of the bottom of my filtering system. So I'll just get it in, put it in the bottom, and I'll just poke it down just to stop it from coming out of the hole at the bottom. Yeah, that's my main job. All I'm trying to do is just to clog that hole at the bottom to stop anything from coming out. So that's nice and secured in the bottom of my filter. The next thing I want to look at doing, so if you're doing it with the kids, you'd have 2 kids or 3 kids holding it so you can help each other out. The next thing, I've already got some crushed charcoal to speed this process up. So it's very, very simple when you want to do. I just give them, generally what I tend to do is give them some charcoal and a little bag, and I let them crush it up just to give them some more things to do. So they've got to realise that you can't just go and buy crushed charcoal to do all this sort of stuff for you. So having the stuff, raw sort of stuff in there. If there's some chunks in there, it doesn't matter too much. And you got a good reasonable amount of charcoal inside of your container. Right, the charcoal itself, it's the thing that's going to take out all the bacteria and foreign bodies and everything. So this takes out the smaller components. I'm just going to wait for this plane just to go above my head. Okay, the plane's sort of gone now. So I've got the charcoal there. As I said, it takes out all the small components. So these are things you can't see, like the bacteria, all the things we talked about earlier on in the video. So it doesn't kill any of these certain organisms. It's not like this going to purify the water and make it completely 100% safe to drink. It's going to take out the bacteria, which is like a microorganism. Yeah, not the really, really small, fine things that can really, really cause you problems. But the next thing we have is our sand. Again, you want a half and half, so the distance you've got of charcoal, you want the same sort of level of sand. And this this again picks up any particles, very fine bits of debris, which hasn't already pre-filtered. So you've got to think, the difference between a water filter and water purification is the filter system just takes out all the foreign bodies and that's what you can see floating inside the water, like the dirt, the debris, mud, and that sort of thing. It's what you're filtering out, and you're trying to get the dirty water to clear water. Purification is the last stage, when we're either going to boil, give it a rolling boil for like 3-4 minutes. I usually like to boil my water for more than 5 minutes to make sure it's completely 100%. If you can't have a boil, you can put purification tablets like they do in the forset and that sort of thing inside it, or iodine, or anything you've got which you use as your water purification. So you've got water filter and water purification are two different things. Don't think you can filter this water and then drink it straight away because you've got the charcoal. It's still going to have those harmful bacteria inside it, so that's why you do the purification side of boiling the water, which we're going to do after this. So we've got the sand, now we go through the fine stones. So again, they pick up the next level of items, so I'm going to put them inside there now. Yeah, I'm going to need like 2.5 scoops of there. And then I'm going to be putting my coarse stones on. So these pick up the bigger particles. These could be wood, yeah, anything like that. So bits of wood floating around, or bits of rubbish floating around inside the water source. Depends where we are. It could be just plant life picked up as it's going through. So we've got the coarse stones on the top there. And then finally is the grass end. Yeah, this is like, I use the grass to any oils and things like that. You'll find that grass is a really good thing of absorbing oils. Likewise with the charcoal, if there's any oil or water-based liquid inside which shouldn't be in the river, again the charcoal can filter that out for us. So we've got all that inside there now. So I've got my nice filter and I can hold it over. The next thing you want to think about doing is, are the kids or the people you're teaching going to sit there and hold this to filter it through, or are you going to use some sort of hanging device like I've got on here? I've just got some fine, this is the inner core of a paracord. So I use 7-strand paracord. So I'm going to prop this down here. I use 7-strand paracord. So a length of paracord, this is a bit of rubbish from a course I was doing, and one of these could actually do 7 filters. Yeah, so again, it's just using the thing, so you just split the end and just pull out one of the inner cores. You just pull it all the way out, and now I've got myself a nice strand of very fine string, and all I need to do then is just poke a couple of holes with a knife into the top of there, and then tie it up and to make a little bit of a hanger. Okay, so we're now moved over to a little jig which I've just found. So it's just a couple of metal pulls, or metal stands. I've just put a stick going across and hung down my water filter. At the bottom I've got a clear plastic tub, just to show you what actually is inside it. And what we're going to do, we're now going to pour the muddy water through the filter. And what we should be able to see, we should be able to see the grass at the top picking up the big bit of particles, and then the bigger stones taking the next level, then the smaller stones, then the sand, and then the charcoal. When it first comes through, the filter will come, the kids will think, well, why is it not working? Because it will come through and start dripping sort of blacky colour or browny water. This is, first you've got to get the sand saturated, then you've got to get the charcoal saturated. So it's going to first drip through sort of those sort of colours. But we filter it not once, we usually filter it 2 or 3 times, or until the water comes clear. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this out of the way quickly so I don't spill any dirty water inside my clean water. I'm can pour this inside. Yeah, it's coming out of the holes on the side at the moment where I dripped it down. You can let it go past those holes. There you go, it's nearly gone past the holes where I pierced into it. And when I start seeing it dripping at the bottom, yeah, that's when I'm going to start putting my underneath it. So there we go. I've gone past those holes now. That's the only downside when you do put the holes over there itself. You've got to think about that as it goes through. So I can pour a bit of water in, and every see now, it's now dripping at the bottom. It's already started coming clear water. So this is now going to take about 20 minutes sort of come around there. So I'm going to just keep pouring some of this dirty water into my filter, but at the same time I'm now going to get the next stage ready, which is the purification side of it. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just building a fire. When I do it with kids, I bring ready-made materials down to make it a bit easier. I either use a fire itself, or sometimes even quicker, depending on the situation. It might be in schools or places where I can't physically make fires, or it might be the wrong time of year. Oh, I knew it'd be the same, yeah. I use just a portable gas stove as well. So it depends on what I'm doing. These things are quite cheap. You pick them up. I picked this one up from Go Outdoors. I think I paid £14 for this and 6 bottles of gas. Yeah, so nice and simple. Just take it out. You've got it on here. I've got my little base. I've got my gas bottle. Lock it in place. Lock it in place. Turn my gas. Hey presto! I've now got fire. Yeah, nice and simple. Where then I can just take my water and then boil it just to show how to do the next stage of purification. Let's turn it off. I don't need it on. But for the purpose of this demonstration, I like making fires, so I'm going to just use the fire method. So I've got my raft. I don't like going straight onto fires; it damages the ground, sort of thing. And also, when these catch alight, you make a bit more fire as well. And then all I'm going to do this time, I'm going to build a little, I call it a pyramid type fire. So I get my sticks, my dry kindling sticks, and all I do is build myself up a little square tripod, square pyramid. I try to use thinner ones as possible at the start, just so it gives a better chance of catching alight. And when you're teaching kids and sort of thing, they're the last thing, or the younger generation, the last thing you want to do is watch you fail making fire. Yeah, if they think you are the bushcraft king, yeah, like some of my kids think I'm at the school, the last thing I want to do is show them that I can't actually build a fire. So I make sure that I've got stuff with me which I know will actually get a fire going. I've got a few little bits just to keep it on the side over there. If you had any other stuff, other tinders and that sort of thing with you, you can lay them down. I sometimes have a fire, but I usually have a tinder box with me. But today I didn't bring it out for this video, so I'm just relying on finding little shavings of wood inside the bag. All it is a little bag of kindling. Costs £2.50 for dry kindling. That's all you need to get yourself going. So next stage, once I've built myself a little pyramid, for this one I'm going to use a basic tinder. So this is just some essential cotton buds. I've done nothing with it, no Vaseline or anything with there at all. I'm just going to use one of them and a fire strike. I might just put a couple in just so I know I've got the fire going. Just put a couple inside there. Just spread them around a little bit. Get my fire steel. I always give it a few strikes first just to make sure it's working. There we go, it's on fire. Put it inside there. Second one's on fire. Here we go. So I've now got them on there, and then what I do then is just place my thin bits inside there, just so it's got something else to catch. Okay, so this is the first filter. You can see a little bit of sand sort of on there, but generally the water started off like that and it's now looking like this. So I'm going to put it through again. Let's just put it all the way in this time. I know it's going to come out the edges, but it's already been cleaned, so I'm going to put it in there and get it set up onto that. Okay, as you see there, we've got the water starting to boil. We'll leave this for 5 minutes to boil, and once it is boiling I can keep topping it up with the filtered water. Depends how long you're going to be here for. And then just move the handle away from, and that's basically it for the thing. So I'm going to get some pine needles now and just bung some pine needles inside there, and then we can make some pine needle tea, or we can make hot chocolate. Depends on what we want to do with actual the water. Okay, so pine needle tea is quite medicinal as well. It has a lot of vitamin C inside there, and also really good as a diuretic as well. So if you do have DMV for drinking any dirty water, drinking the pine needles or stinger nettles is actually a good source of sorting out the upset stomach as well. So it also gives a little bit of flavour to the water at the same time. So this is about ready now. So now it's been boiling for quite some time, for a good 5 minutes. I'm going to take it off and just pour some out and have a little swig. Okay, so that's it for the day. All that's left to do is just drink my tea. That's sort of on here as well. So we've got the tea, which is just here. I'm going to pour it into. I've only got a bowl with me today. I forgot to bring a little cup with me. Got a little bit of water in there, and all it's to do now is just to drink it. Bottoms up. Lovely, lovely, refreshing, nice filtered, clean, purified pine needle tea water. I took it from here. I also mixed up with a little bit of tap water. I'm not going to lie, there was tap water in here with a very small little bit on there because, as I said, all these bacteria on there, it's not worth giving yourself problems, dysentery or anything over there on teaching a basic skill to other people sort of on that. So yes, by all means go out there and practice these skills and sort of on there. You need to know your water sources, you need to know what's upstream, you need to know how clean that water source is. Take it, only do survival sort of things. If you're going to take the water on here itself, I'm in the middle of Norwich. It's on the outskirts, there's roads and that all around me, there's farmlands, so I wouldn't be drinking this stuff over here. But if I'm out in the hills in Scotland, Derbyshire, lakes, when you've got the streams coming off the rivers and sort of over there, yes, I'm more willing to actually drink the water from those sort of things over here. Just go out there, have fun, use the skills, and it's good to show them the dirty water and make it into clean water. It's good then to show them that you can how to purify it and how to drink it. But I always change up from the water which I'm filling in there to the water which I'm actually getting out of my general tap, just when I'm teaching the kids or younger generation. I don't want to. The last thing you want to do as an instructor is to get something slightly wrong and give someone some illness sort of on there. But that filter device, yes, works every time. I've used it myself properly and numerous occasions when I'm not getting people to drink the water other than myself. And thanks again. If you like this, hit subscribe, hit the notifications so you get the little videos coming up. So my next one will be up on Thursday, and we'll be looking at some knife skills. So thanks again, and go out there, enjoy the outdoors, but be overall, be safe. Bye for now.